Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Thanks, sponsors, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Hugs the Scott Auctions, Topps, Upper Deck, and Panini. The last part of my outtakes with Professor Sportscards. Jason had lots of questions for me. Hope you enjoy it. Whenever I do these outtakes, I strongly encourage you to go to the original source, which is his channel. But that's been out enough that people could do that. And now my listeners here on the podcast audio format can get the gist of what was talked about. So thanks again, Jason. And here it is.
What advice would you give to a new collector, someone that's been in for 6 months, a year, 3 months? Obviously, educate yourself. But beyond that, what advice would you give?
Basically, you've got to be thinking you're paying a tax when you come in, and it's not a stupid tax. It's an uninformed tax. You don't really know what you don't know. And if you go slow and you don't listen to one type of voice, it's like some people have one type of music they like to listen to. But if you like to listen to lots of different kinds of music, I think that's well-rounded. If you like to listen to lots of different kinds of content creators, I think that gives you a broader education. It's like going to college and taking a bunch of different subjects and putting them all together and figuring out, okay, this is what I really want to do. But you had to maybe study it and figure it out. You learn from some of these bad experiences.
Of course.
And when you do, you're better informed. In fact, you go back to the people that gave you the good advice, not the people that were encouraging you to jump off the cliff and borrow money in order to try to get a moonshot.
I'm almost afraid to ask you this. Is there market manipulation going on in the hobby? Numbers are funny, and I'm talking mainly prices here, but sometimes these prices, it's weird skyrockets of things.
Absolutely, there's market manipulation. And the most successful of the ones that do it are more subtle. Because if we watch them, we
stay
need
under the radar.
Call them out and kick them out, especially if it's illegal. But a lot of the market manipulation stuff is, can I say unethical, but not illegal? If it's illegal, then they ought to go to jail. If it's unethical, don't do business with them.
The internet makes things so hard to see.
Again, you catch them and then they just come back with a different name. Deal with people that you know.
Okay, great. That's good advice.
Well,
yes.
It's been said before.
Yeah, but again, these guys that have been watching it, been back in the hobby 3-6 months, find someone you trust that was shop, a store, an online place. And I do agree with that.
They're not finding the content creator. They're allowing the content creator to find them.
Basically, breaking my heart.
They're looking for the loudest megaphone. Just because somebody's got a big audience, like I said, get a sampling of different types of podcasts and YouTubers that are giving a spectrum of advice that you can pick and choose. But even the analytical types, like going back to the magazine, the arrows, it doesn't mean it's going up. It means it went up. It's so much of the content creators that want to build the hype train are talking about something going up. No one knows that. You have an inkling. I had an idea when I was doing price guides. Hey, it looks like this is continuing to move, but I was doing monthly price guides, not instant by instant or daily. And so you could see some trends, but those trends can reverse. So there's no sure things.
Running your magazine, how much was you got to enjoy and have fun? Sometimes in a busy business, it's just stressful. So was it the fun side and you really got to enjoy it, or was it hard to enjoy the moment due to stress?
In the beginning, I loved it, but it was more me, myself, and I for a number of years. Then as we got bigger and I hired a bunch of really sharp people, I enjoyed that aspect of it, but then it kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then I really became an executive, Jason, and I'm a hobbyist. I'm a smart hobbyist. I have some management skills, but I didn't want to be kicked upstairs. It's what I had to do, what I needed to do, and it wasn't as much fun. So when we got bigger and had lots of employees, that wasn't as much fun as when we had 50 employees. 50 employees. I knew them all. They knew me. We pitched in. We all got it done. But then next thing you get to 100, we got almost up to 200. It wasn't as much fun. And yet we had a hobby mandate we were dependent on.
Does it bother you that when you sold the company, Beckett was on top and it's fallen off in the past 20 years? Does it get under your skin, or it's not your company anymore?
What do you want me to do, Jason? Buy the company back? I don't think the company's for sale.
Yes, please buy it back.
People have said that, but they've earned the right to do it their way. And then what I would say is there's been a number of regime changes in management there and some philosophical things that have probably hurt the brand. When it was just me, there was continuity. I was the owner. I was the boss. I was the price guide guy. I was instrumental in getting grading going. I was a very knowledgeable hobbyist that had a lot of history, and no one cared more than I did. That's why I love it when there's a CEO of a hobby company that's a hobbyist, really is smart, but understands a hobby. So as it got bigger and bigger, it's hard. Business is hard. So I have free time now. I have margin time. I can mess with cards without thinking I'm supposed to be doing tax planning or something.
Yeah, quality of life matters. What do you think could happen to help Beckett or revive Beckett, or you're just not in that world anymore?
I know a lot of the people there and I communicate with them. I'll volunteer some things occasionally, but like I said, I'm not the boss anymore. And so I make myself available. I've thrown out ideas there, some of which they've received very warmly, and others they've said, we'll take that under advisement. And then they don't do it. But I think they're doing better this year than they were last year. Let's put it that way. So I think they're on the uptick, and I'm a cheerleader for them. But I can't get in the trenches. I do my part. I'm a customer. I submit cards for BGS, and I'm a loyal Beckett fan, if that doesn't sound too self-serving. I want them to do great, but it's a very competitive landscape out there.
You seem at peace with it, someone that can help if they need it. Maybe you love more your ideas to be heard. I saw a spark in you when we talked content for a minute. So I know you said get a well-rounded view. I find some of the content right now very sensationalized. You mentioned the winner to be loud. I thought that was great. Do you find some of the content sensationalized, and does that bother you?
I think it's terrific that it's such a dynamic hobby that I won't call them hucksters, but people out there and excited and trying to build excitement in the hobby. But that's not the mainstream. You've got to dial that down a little bit. But the day those people leave, Jason, is the day we're going to have a ghost town. Okay. We got big money coming in and big talkers coming in. We've got manipulators coming in, and we need to protect our hobby as best we can. But if all those people leave, it's going to be like it was 50 years ago, which was card conventions that were card tables with a bunch of old guys. So it's good to have this dynamic element. It just needs to not be so over the top. And if it is so over the top, it's entertaining. But it's not entertaining to me because I think it's misleading because they give too much of a rose-colored glasses view of the hobby, which is not sustainable. Things don't keep going up forever.
I'm really glad you mentioned the last part. You're being fair, and you gave a really honest take that when they leave, it's a ghost town. So it's a good thing.
Well, that's a little bit hyperbolic.
No, but I get the point. It diminishes when those type of people are gone. It shows that the hobby is less big in demand. You didn't want to call them hucksters. I might call them that, though.
But they're very excited. They're extroverts, and they are in heaven. They get to talk about a hobby, and they get to hyperbolize and get way out there. If they make 10 predictions and 5 of them went the wrong way, but they're never going to talk about those. They're going to talk about the 5 that I told you Ohtani was going to have a big game. You should have followed my advice from a month ago to buy all the Ohtanis.
I'm sure there's got to be some passion and joy. What has cards brought to meaning in your life?
That's given me a lifetime hobby, Jason. But the way I hobby is different, not necessarily every decade, but if you thought about it, maybe every decade I've evolved a little bit. And so I don't collect complete sets anymore, which is how I started. I'm not Chris Sewell's granddad, but I'm a collector, investor, dealer in that order. Unfortunately, the dealing is me dealing off and out cards. I'm trying to have 1% less cards every month, but I started out as a collector. The investor was just that I bought things and I held them. And the dealer is now disposing of them and finding a new home for cards that I've had in many cases for a long time. And so that's a natural progression, I think. That's why Chris Sewell is just a solid guy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he is. Based off behind you, I'd assume vintage, but is it baseball, basketball, football? What is it for you that really gets you going in the card world?
Originally it was baseball. Now I don't go around looking for stuff. In fact, it's like the cards have to sing to me. I think Mike Moynihan talks about that. If the card sings to you, then you think, I need to pick that up. But I'm mainly looking at the dollar box for my own protection. I'm just enjoying. There's plenty of interesting cards I've never seen before. If I look in the showcases for Artie Slab stuff, I already have a lot of great cards. I have too many to display. So I don't need to buy more great cards. I'm happy with buying some good cards.
What sport or what are you looking for in the dollar box?
I don't limit it. I'm looking for things that look interesting to me that I haven't seen, that I recognize as being a different color, a different pose, a different back, a different something that would suggest that it's worth a lot more than $1 to the collector that needs that card. So it's
even like hockey and soccer. Are you even
absolutely
there? Oh, wow. So you are very well rounded. Okay.
Everything. If it's sports, I draw the line pretty much at sports. Look at the price guides. They did all the price guides. And I did them by myself until I got these super sharp guys.
All sports you did by yourself?
Originally.
Wow.
I didn't have a team. But then, hockey was my weakest one. So I hired a bunch of hockey guys who were really good. Basketball, I've had season tickets for 33, 34 years now for the Mavs. So I'm up on all the sports, but I'm telling you, the long tail, this is my version of the New York Times crossword puzzle to try to stay sharp, looking through cards and saying, hey, this is interesting. I'll pick that up. What have I lost? I could lose $1. If I'm right, it's a $5 card, let's say. If I'm wrong, it's a $1 card.
I admire you for that because that's not where a lot of the hobby is right now.
Here's why other people aren't doing it, Jason, is that I can't win big, but I can't lose. Most people, they're definitely going to lose, but they might win big. I have no chance of winning big, but no chance of losing. They have every chance of losing, an infinitesimal chance of winning, but you're saying there's a chance. And so I don't want to play that game. And so I'm making a statement that you can be proud of the way you hobby, regardless of how much money you put into it. But if you're going to call it an investment, which a lot of the most vocal content creators are saying, hey, alternative investment, if it is, you ought to have a strategy, and it's not buy high and sell higher, because that only works in a bull market. And I've been around long enough to see that there's an ebb and flow. Some things go up, some things go down. Other things go up, other things go down. It's picking the next thing that might go up.
Are we in a bull market right now?
For many things, how could we not be? World record prices. But again, that's not what the card companies have to be looking at. That's adding publicity. But your point is well taken. Just the buying a box or buying into a break, if your expected value is significantly less than what you put in, that's a losing proposition. If it's slightly less, that's one thing. But if it's a lot less, then that's eventually a problem as people wise up. And yet, what do they want? They don't want the cheaper boxes. They want the more expensive boxes. And if they can't afford the expensive boxes, they want to at least get a spot in the break. This originally was a hobby for kids or old guys that think like kids and want to recapture their childhood. If you make it way too sophisticated and too much about money, you're squeezing the charm out of it.
I don't think we can end any better than that. So well said, squeezing the charm out of it. Dr. Beckett, I never thought I'd get to chat with you, man. It really was fun.
I appreciate you, Jason. Thanks for doing this. Like I said, I'm a lifer and I'll go as long as I can. I'm still enjoying doing my podcasts, and it's been a great ride.
Is doing